All right, working on this 2015 Toyota Corolla. About to give it a fluid exchange, transmission fluid exchange. So for starters, you're going to want to remove this cover here. It's right behind the driver's side front wheel. There we go, pop up. Remove this next. Remove this. If you want to go to the trouble, you can remove this piece here. For me, I'm only gonna fill it up to that port, so let me put this down to the side. So you're gonna come out here to the cover, and right along here you're gonna see this bolt that takes a 24 millimeter. You're gonna get it right between there, and then you're gonna lefty-loosey, bam, and then this should now come off hand tight. Pop up. We're gonna go ahead, we're gonna put this off to the side for now. Next thing you're gonna want to do is grab this, I want to say it's a 6 Torx, maybe a 6. So let's go ahead, let me grab that and I'll show you how to remove it. Alright, so I'm using my breaker bar here. This thing's typically torqued down to 36 foot-pounds, but I'll check the information in a bit. So we're gonna go ahead, get this on here and crack it loose. And of course, if you're doing this at home, highly recommend that you get a little catch bucket, just so you know how much you're going to put back in. But I am gonna go over the procedure on how to properly adjust this. If you're planning to do it, I would just recommend trying to get it on flat surface, up in the air as best as you can, because if you do this up at an angle, the adjustment's going to be incorrect. So at that point, if you're working off in the driveway, I would recommend just capturing as much as you can, and whatever you end up pulling out is what you would end up throwing back in. That's my advice there. But I'm not going to do that, so we don't got to worry about it. I'm just going to go ahead, pull this sucker off, because this bolt is just going to let the overflow drain out. So once this stops or slows down in the drain in, I'll go ahead and I'll start recording again. All right, so now when it slows down and gives you that opportunity, you're gonna come back in here, you're gonna get this guy and start turning it lefty-loosey. Bop, bop. And now you're gonna let that entire thing drain out. Bam, bam. All right, once you get it to this point, you're gonna wanna grab this and go hand tight, very gently. You don't wanna over tighten it. Oops. Don't wanna over tighten this. It's only 15 foot-pounds. Sorry, not foot-pounds, inch-pounds. But again, hand tight is all it really is, because you can easily over torque that with your own hand. So let me grab this guy. especially if you're using this tool here, you want to be very careful because that extra bit of grip. Just want to barely get it on there, barely. Right there, bam. Cool. And then from here, we're gonna get this guy back on here. We're not gonna torque it down just yet because I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna fill it up right there through that fill port that I opened up. So I'm gonna go ahead, show you how I get that set up. All right, so this little tool you can pick up at Harbor Freight's, $7, doesn't cost too much, gets the job done. Of course, other technicians here where I work at got way nicer ones, and you can do all that and that's all good. For me, I'm just starting off and this is perfect. So I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna fill it up to that port that we broke earlier. I'm gonna stick this here on the bottom, since that's where all that fluid is going to be pressed out from. And then from here, I'm going to stick this in to the top, and then ideally what I end up doing is getting this sucker in here. Once I fill it up with liquid, and you start pumping it. So let's go ahead, let's start filling that up. Here at Toyota, for this 2015 Toyota Corolla, we're going to be using a multi-vehicle synthetic CVT fluid. And again, not too worried about the specifications. I'm gonna go ahead and end up adjusting the fluid level by temp, so we're just gonna get as much as we can in there. Oh. Nice, caught that on camera. And we're gonna double it up. It's alright, it's just gonna refreshen the tools and the toolbox. Alright, final one. All right. So here goes the grueling process. Got to be very slow with this because if you go too quick, you do run risk of it spitting back out. A little bit is okay, though you want to make sure you get a majority of it in there. So I always end up doing this. Yeah, go for it. All right. I'm not going to record this entire thing. You don't need to suffer with me, but ideally, you're going to get this all the way down and into there. So I'm going to fast forward and save you guys the workload. All right, we're nearing the end. Arm's starting to fatigue out. So you can see just a tad bit left. I always lean it over to the side like this just to really get as much as I can up in there. All right, a couple of more pumps just because there's always some in here. Bam, bam, cool. Now, we're gonna go ahead, put you back on. And the torque here is 36 foot-pounds. So this one you can definitely torque down. I would recommend using a crow's foot if you're having a hard time getting the angle. Of course, if you end up removing this little plastic piece right here, that's always going to get in your way of torquing, so just be aware of that. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to jump forward to get into the adjustment part on this, because I'm going to have to lower the car, start it. I'm probably not going to use my scanner. I'll show you guys a cool little trick. If you have a scanner, feel free to use a scan tool to look at the transmission fluid temp. I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to use my little laser here to determine where we are. So you can see right now we're at 62, and the adjustment for this is typically around 95 Fahrenheit to, I think it was 110 Fahrenheit is where you want to be at to adjust it. All right. That's happening because I cleaned the throttle body, no worry there. So you're gonna go ahead, you're gonna start the car. You're gonna keep this on for 3 seconds in each position. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. I like to kick it into gear. There we go. And then 3 seconds going up. And then back into park. Once that happens, we're going to go ahead and lift up the car. All right, now that we got the car back up lifted, I got the car operating and running. Again, I typically set the timer up for about 5 minutes, but every once in a while I'll go ahead and I'll start kind of aiming this right where I see the oil at. And as you can see, it's reading 71 Fahrenheit. Of course, I expect the liquid inside to be a bit warmer than the actual bolt or pan, since the car hasn't been driven. At some point, maybe when it hits around 85 degrees, I'll start to peel this back. Actually, I might even do it a little bit just to see if I could get a bit of fresh fluid coming out, and then try to aim it at that. It's a lot more easier if you have a scanner. I got a scanner, but I want to show this method. Yeah, that thing's reading about 73, so I'm going to go ahead, give it a moment. All right, so as you see, there's 86 Fahrenheit, so I'm going to go ahead, plug this up real quick because it's not at temp yet. So if you have any doubts about where you're at, you could always loosen that up and drain it a bit, but as you can see, even on the bolt itself, it's a couple of degrees under, so it's already been about 5 minutes. Might have to give it a full 10 minutes on this one. All right, so right here at the bolt, we're reading about 97 Fahrenheit. That's exactly where you want to be at when you're starting up this adjustment here. So we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna pull that off, and we're gonna let it go. And of course, again, it's always going to be hotter inside, but again, you got until 110 Fahrenheit to do this, and you're just going to want to let all that excessive fluid pour out. And then once it starts to near trickle, a quick trickle, is where you want to plug it up. And this bolt here, I think it's 32 foot-pounds, maybe 30 foot-pounds. That's within 2 feet, so it's nothing outrageous, and I feel comfortable recommending that. Of course, if you got a repair manual for your vehicle, always follow the repair manual. I'm using all data, and I also got 2, so that helps. You can kind of see why you need to get on flat surface to get it to this point. Of course, as the transmission warms up, liquid is going to expand. All the excessive liquid is going to drain out of that special overflow bolt that we torqued down to 15 inch-pounds. And it's almost there, almost. Getting ready for it, and right there. Of course, I've seen guys wait for it to be a little bit slower of a trickle. You could do that. I just don't like leaving it completely that close to, you know, right there at the nearing that line of the overflow bolt. I like a little bit of liquid in there, and that's okay. Let's go ahead. For the customer, I'm going to go ahead, clean this sucker up, because we are professionals here at Toyota. All right, so I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to torque this sucker down, and then there you go. That's all there is to doing a transmission on the 2015 Corolla.